Why do you think there is such a negative stigma, I guess would be the word for it, around mental health, especially within sports and within basketball? And perhaps there's negative stigma, but also just a lack of awareness. And again, I go back to the average NBA fan, taking basketball as as an example. Even when I sometimes watch games now, I never think about really what an athlete might be going through mentally. It's just very surface level. Oh, he missed a shot, or he seemed like he wasn't focused in this specific scenario. But there's so much more to it, and I feel like there's just a lack of awareness. And then when there is awareness, there seems to be within society, at least from what I've seen, just this negative stigma around it. Why? First of all, do you agree with that? And second of all, if you do, why do you think that is?
There's definitely a negative stigma with it. Like I can feel it when I walk into the room, especially when people call me oh, he's the director of mental performance, and I can feel them shift a little bit. Um, from two aspects. The first aspect is, Nick, what you were talking about before. So you were saying how, you felt like you weren't enough. And pretty much everybody on planet Earth feels that at some point in their life. And when you start having conversations with people like myself, I might poke the bear a little bit. And if you are vulnerable and say, hey, you know what, I just feel like I'm not enough, a lot of these athletes may feel like they're going to get exposed. Oh, now, I knew I wasn't enough, but now all the people around me know that I'm not enough. And so now I'm weak. And now that I'm weak, you know, they can attack me. They're going to even come harder at me. So the idea is uh, it's building trust with somebody that you can speak to and just putting it on the table. So I think it starts with every individual. And from that place, we can start to see the change. That it's cool to be vulnerable. And it's not only cool, but vulnerability is for the victorious. So you see people, the DeMar DeRozans and the Kevin Loves that have talked about, mental health. And I think that's definitely moving us along. This probably doesn't sound right, but I'm going to say it out loud and see if it makes sense. Uh, I think we've made it a bigger thing than it is in a kind of a weird way. Like to me, it's very simple. Um, it doesn't have, as I've said a few times, it doesn't have to be this big thing. It can be very simple in terms of just checking in and say, hey, have things been smoother? Have things been easier for you? And from that place, we start to, I think, disarm people. Like we meet them where they're at. It doesn't have to be, you know, like today I pushed you and we got right into, okay, your personal history. Uh, you know, that to me is more of an intuition thing. Having the conversation with an athlete, and if he's ready, and some athletes open up right away, and there is no stigma, there is no negative viewpoint on the mental performance. And then some athletes, it takes a little bit more time. But I think it's just continuing to model the behavior, continue to have people that can speak about it, talk about it, and then I think we just keep taking steps with it. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I just see it more from when we talk about stigma. I see that more from some of our players, at the highest levels, because we have to wear this armor. And that's why we think, like, as you said before, Nick, like Michael Jordan seems like he's not human. He can just do whatever he wants at any given time. And he doesn't have insecurity. It just doesn't exist in him. And it does. I know it does because I've been around so many different humans and so many different high level players. But he works with it. He works with the material.
I have a thought, which may be radical, but bear with me. And I've been thinking about this a lot. So, one, topic where I feel like this is extremely prevalent is within the health industry. And I think there is I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I don't even know what the word. We take certain topics, and because we live in a capitalistic society, and because people want to make money, which is great, um, in order to be able to sell products and to sell whatever they're selling, they need to make it this big, complicated thing that needs to be solved, and they are the only ones that have the formula to solve it. And so, when I think about health and when I think about some of the people who are speaking out against all of this complication that has arisen, I think about the basics: get daily sun, get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, drink enough water, eat whole food. You do, and exercise, right? Some form of exercise. You do those things, you will be healthier than whatever 95% of the population. But it's gotten to a point where it's like, no, 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 that's not enough. You also now need to cold plunge every single day. And then on top of that, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And here's my 10-step formula that you can buy for $10.99 on my website that will give you the secrets to a healthy life. And so I don't know if mental health is there yet, but I do see it trending in that direction, to your point, where it's, oh, you have anxiety. Here is my 30-page PDF book on how to deal with anxiety and all the different things you need to do. And that's why I love your point of sometimes it's just very simple and it doesn't need to be this big, complicated thing.
Yeah, Nick, I don't think I can say it any better than that. I think that's really where we're at is I like where we're going in terms of valuing, like more people are opening up and speaking about it and having the conversation, but it's yeah, it's just becoming more complicated. We just as humans, we're in our analytical brains, and it must be like one of the beliefs I had to break down with money, especially, was that it's really difficult and it's really hard. So I'm telling myself that constantly. And now, instead of doing simple things, like people are saying, hey, bro, you just have to do this. I can't, and I wouldn't say this consciously. It was more like of a subconscious thing. It can't be that simple. It can't be that simple. But man, it can be really simple. And the key is, as cliche as this is, just the consistency. Like, can you do this meditation, this very simple meditation, for 30 days, 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day? And then at that point, we can judge it, whether it's helping or not helping or where you feel. But the problem is most people aren't patient. So they, want to judge it really fast. Like, it's even like I'll assign homework for athletes and they'll be like, or they'll have their game, and immediately after the game, they're judging it. And I say, we just don't have enough data yet. Like, our sample size is too small to really make sense of this at this point. So I think we need to be a little bit more patient and we need to stay with it. And then we can change course. But as you said, Nick, I think you go on Instagram and you just there's so many different things being thrown at you. And that just goes back to attention, right? We haven't trained our attention. Our attention is getting worse every year with, our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. So that's what goes back to my last point, or one of my points, is that it's a little bit of a war, man. You got to guard your attention.